Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining and welcome back. Our guest today is a very good friend of mine, Andy Schectman, CEO of Miles Franklin. Andy, welcome back.
Ivan, it's good to see you, brother.
Yeah,
It's good. It's crazy times, man. It's good that we can catch up and nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
yeah, really great having you on. I want to thank you so much for coming down and speaking to the silver and gold community.
Absolutely.
It is crazy times, looking at silver, we're at $38, that mark right there. A lot of people are saying, when are we going to hit that $40 breakout? I know a couple of years ago we were saying, oh, when are we going to hit $30? Now we're hitting 38. Now, soon as 30 or $40. What are your thoughts on precious metals right now for silver and gold?
Yeah, the first time I met you was the silver squeeze, and it was just breaking through 30 for the first time in many, many years. You know, one of the things, Ivan, that I think is more important than the price action is what's happening on Comex. And I'll give you an example. We'll start with gold. I've been beating the drum. And by the way, I'm going to apologize in advance. This dog, I'll put her on the floor. She'll jump up on my couch. She'll leap 6 feet onto my desk. She'll be back up here in 6 seconds if I don't. So she's going to pop her head up every few seconds. I
That's okay.
apologize.
That's okay.
Anyways, yeah, we built a new studio for this reason, but it's 6:30 at night, and I have a 5 a.m. flight tomorrow, so I'm doing this from home. Anyways, I appreciate the putting up with that.
Yeah, no problem.
So, I've been beating the drum for the last 7 months that the deliveries into Comex are unlike anything we've ever seen. In terms of gold, we've become a net importer. We've always been importing silver since we wasted all of ours and lost our strategic stockpile years ago. We have to import for manufacturing. But as it pertains to gold, most of my 36-year career, we've been net exporters. We have been a net importer since November. And I don't think there's any coincidence to the election and the understanding by the current administration that by letting the rest of the world drain the world's exchanges of the critical commodities, where the folks in Canada are saying, no, silver isn't industrial, it's strategic. And I agree, it is strategic. That these players, these countries like China, Saudi Arabia, India, Russia, and the like, are now sophisticated, coordinated, motivated, and wealthy, and they are using the delivery option against us and have been for a long time. And it's like all of a sudden, there are people in this administration who have gotten wise to this. And we've seen a constant inflow of metal, both gold and silver and platinum, into the COMEX. A lot of it is leaving. And that's one of the things I want to talk about. A lot of times when we talk about deliveries into COMEX, people say, yeah, but it isn't leaving. A lot of it is. So let me
Yeah.
start by saying most of my career, Ivan, I would say to people, less than 1% of contracts ever stand for delivery. And when I'm telling you the amount of gold coming into the country is unusual, we're talking by magnitudes of 100 unusual. I mean,
Wow.
ridiculously unusual, where you're seeing record setting amounts coming in every single month, month after month after month after month, to the tune of north of $100 billion worth since November that we know of. Now, my guess is a lot of metal is coming in through proxy banks like Citi and Goldman and JP that are coming in to private vaulting systems outside the purview of the COMEX. But let's just focus on COMEX for a moment. The first 3 days of the August contract, just the first 3 days of this month's contract, we saw 20,160 contracts post. Now, I used to say less than 1% of those contracts would stand for delivery.
Right.
Ever. 100% of the 20,160 gold contracts, 100% of them stood for delivery. That's
Really?
2,160,000 ounces. Now you're talking $7 billion worth of gold in 3 days stood for delivery, and almost all of it left the COMEX. So, excuse me, I was doing a little research, and there's a guy on Twitter I want to give a shout out to, PM Bug, as in precious metals bug. And he says, I looked at the totals for the COMEX daily silver stock reports for the last few days. You can see the received and withdrawn numbers here.
Right.
Now, he starts on August 1st, which was a Friday, then August 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. The first 5 days of the August contract for silver, we saw 1,721,192 ounces stand for delivery,
Wow.
post for delivery inside the COMEX ecosystem. Delivered 1,721,192 ounces. From that, 1,890,316 ounces were withdrawn. More silver was withdrawn from the Comex market in 5 days than was delivered. Almost 2 million ounces. Now ask yourself this, Ivan. 2 million ounces of silver is not something you can put in a knapsack and scurry on off. You're talking several semi trucks worth. Who's taking it? Where's it going? But this is a pattern that we have been seeing in both gold and silver, literally month over month over month over month. And the interesting thing is, not only do we have zero idea who's taking it,
Right.
but there's zero commentary about it on anything mainstream. You would think something as significant as the United States, for the first time since World War II, when World War II ended, we took everyone's gold. It was part of the Bretton Woods Agreement. You give us our gold, your gold, we'll hold it for you safely, and you can, at any time you'd like, exchange it into get your gold back by giving us $35. So, in essence, we held people's gold. We would say, listen, you've been in 2 world wars, give us your gold, we'll pay you $35 for it. You can invest it back into treasuries. Not only will you not have to hold your gold, but you'll earn a yield on it. And anytime you want it back, we'll pay you $35, or you'll pay us $35. We'll give you back that ounce. So everyone sent us their gold after World War II. It's the most gold coming in this country and being delivered into the Comex ecosystem since the end of World War II. But what's really crazy about all of this, to me, is the fact that all of this metal, lots of it, is leaving the Comex and is
Right.
leaving it for greener pastures. And when you understand that once it leaves the ecosystem, it ain't coming back. Give you another little story about that. I have a client. We have 9 Brinks vaults around North America in our Brinks storage program. One of them is a Comex vault. That's Brinks JFK.
Okay.
And the rest of them are not Comex vaults. So I had a client who bought a whole bunch of 1,000 ounce bars, and I call a guy that I know in the industry, and he gets things directly from the Royal Canadian Mint, and he says, "Listen, I have all that you need in 1,000 ounce bars held at JFK." I said, "Listen, she really wants to keep it in Salt Lake City. She doesn't want it in New York City." He says, "I wouldn't advise that." I'm like, "Well, why?"
Right.
He's like, "Well, because once it leaves the Comex ecosystem, and by the way, those bars that are in the vault there are eligible. Registered are the bars that are backing the contracts for delivery. So all the people that have metal in a Comex facility like Brinks JFK or like CNT in Bridgewater, Massachusetts, or Delaware Depository, these are all Comex vaults. These people have no intention of ever selling the metal, but it is eligible. It is eligible in the respect that it is in the ecosystem. It has been cataloged by purity, by serial number, by weight, and if they want to register it for open delivery, if anyone wants to, against those contracts, they can. So, in other words, the eligible metal, most of the people holding it have no intention of ever selling it.
Right.
In any case, so that would have been eligible. So the guy says to me, "Listen, you're talking a couple $1 billion worth, and if you move it to bring Salt Lake City, it'll be outside the Comex ecosystem. It'll have to be reassayed to come back in." I'm like, "Well, that's stupid as hell, man." I'm like, bro, it's going from Brinks JFK, which is Comex, by Brinks truck to Brinks Salt Lake City. No one's ever touching it but Brinks. Why would that have to be reassayed? Doesn't
Right.
matter, he says, because once it leaves the ecosystem, it has to be drilled and assayed. Now, think about that when you're talking 2 million ounces in 1,000 ounce bars,
Right.
right? So you're talking 2,000 bars that would have to be reassayed in order to get back in. This is costly. It takes time. They're never coming back. So when you see all this gold and silver withdrawn from the Comex ecosystem, it is far more bullish in the respect that whoever is taking possession of it has no intention of ever letting it back into the ecosystem to continue to perpetrate this facade of short selling and of the reality that no one ever stands for delivery. The way, like Jim Sinclair said, to beat the suppression is to stand for delivery. No one ever does that. But there are entities now that are, whether it be the countries, the BRICS countries, Russia and Saudi Arabia and China and India, and all of these countries through sovereign wealth funds are standing for delivery. But so too are some very sophisticated players in the United States. And I would say at the level where people between gold and silver in the first 5 days, five, excuse me, $15 billion worth of gold and silver were delivered in the first 5 days of the August contract, and much of it
Wow.
left These people are wealthy enough to be very well informed. And so it's not just the wealth that these people have. At that level, when you're talking billions of dollars, you're hanging with people that are giving you the inside scoop. So they're well informed. These are the most well funded and well informed traders on the globe who have spent north of 100 billion that we know of in bringing metal in, a lot of it leaving now. Who the hell are they? And why is it so important for them to remove the counterparty liability of leaving it in the ecosystem? All of these things betray the suppression of the paper price, which is the ultimate tool of misdirection. Nothing to see here. Silver's not doing what you think it should. Keep on moving. This has allowed the military industrial complex and other players, the 8 Western banks, to suppress the shit out of the price of silver for a long time so they can build high-tech weapons, blow up places like the Ukraine, and BlackRock just happens to be the primary custodian of SLV at the same time with JP Morgan. At the same time, they own the majority of the weapons manufacturers. They are the military industrial complex. So they blow up places like the Ukraine after funding all of the or funding in the form of weapons to perpetrate to perpetuate the war. And then when the country needs to be rebuilt, guess who gets the reconstruction contracts?
Yeah.
It's BlackRock. This
Yeah.
is a game that's way, way deeper than all of us silver and gold bugs actually understand, but it's being exposed through the delivery mechanism. And
Yeah.
being naked short right now in this environment, Ivan, is as stupid as a mud wall in a rainstorm, and it ain't going to last long. So we're getting close to that moment where once it busts through 40, you know, between 40 and 50, you have very little resistance. I mean, in total, in between 1980 and 2011, it was north of 40 for a couple of days. That is not resistance. That is just stopping points along the way. So in theory, once it gets through 40, 41, 42, really you could see it blow through 50 and then some very quickly just because there's nothing standing in its way. It's kind of like gold, which continually tried to break through 2,300 and kept breaking, hitting it, coming down, getting above it, coming down. But once it finally broke free, it was off to the races to where we are now. It touched 3,500. We're at 3,350 and climbing back up. The technical chart looks identical to gold about 6, 8 months or a year ago. Silver does right now. So yeah, I expect big things for silver coming up.
Hello, my fellow silver and gold stacker. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching the channel. Subscribe, please like the video, and also hit the notification bell. Keep stacking. For speculation purposes, I have two questions for you. Who do you think would be standing for the gold and silver deliveries out of Comex? And number two, what would be their benefit? What would be their motives? Are they trying to fight the system? Are they trying to fight the manipulators? Like you said earlier, do they have some type of inside knowledge? Would it be Russia or China? Who would be the most likely, or it could even be private banks in America, or who do you think it is?
All of those things are possible. I would like to
Right.
hope that it is Secretary Bessent acting on behalf of the Exchange Stabilization Fund under the auspice of national security. Therefore, he doesn't need to say shit about it to
Right.
Congress. It'll come out eventually at some point. But you have to ask yourself, $100 billion, really? Is it Buffett? I mean, is it
Yeah, that's what I
Bezos?
thought too.
Is it Elon Musk? Who is it? Whoever it is has very deep pockets. The fact we hear nothing about it tends leads me to believe that this is deeper than we think. And if you realize that we have been losing this race to the rest of the world, standing for delivery, bleeding dry the LBMA, literally to where in 140 years since they started keeping records, it's a 140-year-old exchange, that they have the lowest amount of silver that they've ever had there. 155 million ounces at the LBMA, which is the lowest they've ever had, but they trade 190 million ounces per day. They have 155 million ounce float. But David Jensen, who I think you should have on your show, does as good of a job as anyone talking about the LBMA, says, no, 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 no. They trade 190 million ounces. Those are final posted numbers, but they've admitted to trading 10 times that amount during the day. They only post the final numbers. So, in other words, he's saying they're trading upwards ends every day of 1.9 billion ounces, 3.5 times annual global mine supply,
Jeez.
15 times the float. The same thing. Right now, you have the head of the Japanese Metals Association. He was the guy that ran ICBC, the Chinese bank, on the Japanese exchange. He's a very smart man. I forget his name right now, that's irrelevant. But last week he came out and he said, look, there is no platinum on Comex or on in Switzerland, yet they're trading 3 million ounces a day in spot contracts that are deliverable. This is the game that is being played, that is being exposed by the rest of the world. This is why, for the better part of the first half of this year, the LBMA has said, yeah, we're a T+1 exchange, meaning T is the trade day plus one is settlement. The third day, the bar should be moving to your account.
Right.
But there's a shortage of manpower in trucks, we're told by the Bank of England. So it's T plus 8 weeks. We're sorry for the delay. That's like you got caught with your pants down and you're trying to source the metal at some point. So you're giving yourself an 8 week runway when it's supposed to be T plus one. This is what's happening when rehypothecation is exposed through the delivery mechanism. No one ever stood for delivery, like I said at the beginning. Less than 1% in my entire career were people standing for delivery. And I always thought about it when Jim Sinclair said that. I'm like, yeah, fuck, how the hell is that going to happen? But it's true. If more and more and more of these large entities stand for delivery, the inability to cover naked short contracts becomes real and becomes existential. It's a threat to these banks. So at some point, these banks have to understand this to know that they have been outed by the rest of the world who understands it. I'll give you an example. The BRICS grain exchange, the folks that are building the bricks, they
Right.
developed a grain exchange. And the guy that's running it said, we produce and consume more grain than they do in the West. But we can't control the price at all. It's controlled on Comex. But with the development of this grain exchange, that will change. Now,
Wow.
if you don't think they know what we're doing with precious metals, I got a
Oh,
bridge
they
to sell
do.
you.
Yeah.
And they're using it against us. If these sons of bitches want to suppress the price, the King Kong on Twitter, who's fantastic. I think he's one of the best out there. He says China's doing it too. Don't sell your silver. They're suppressing the paper price in the West and going all around the world and buying from exchanges that do not affect price. Buy as much as you can, but the price isn't affect because you shorted it in the West where the price is listed, where the price is made, and then you buy it up everywhere else at subsidized prices, including going, as Vince Lancy says, to Mexico and buying up anything they can before it's even called silver, which he means doré and concentrate. But
Right.
they're doing the same thing in Peru, where they're going directly to the miners to completely disintermediate the marketplace and buying doré and concentrate and shipping it back to China for refining. Now, this is the number one producer of gold in the world and the number two producer of silver in the world. And yet they're going all around the world and buying doré and concentrate from miners directly to disintermediate the marketplace. If silver and gold was just an archaic relic of the past that meant nothing, and they are the largest producers, and why the hell are they flying around the world and buying gold and silver in impure forms, whether it be a sludge concentrate as a byproduct of the mining process, or the doré bars, which are impure bars that get sent from the miners to be further refined and purified? They're buying that directly from the miners, not letting it hit an exchange,
Right.
buying it, paying double at the Westwell, and shipping it back to refine it themselves because they understand this is a race. It is a race to accumulate rare earths, precious metals, farmland,
Yeah.
oil reserves, rare everything you can think of, base metals, anything. And that's why China bought the London Metal Exchange, which is not the LBMA. It's the exchange that sells all the base metals like copper. Well, that might be considered precious. Let's say like lead, like zinc, tin. All of that stuff is traded on the London Metals Exchange, and then they're building warehouses in China to stockpile all of the contracts, the metal
Wow.
that are backing the contracts, but they own the exchange. See, they think much deeper than we do, and we think in terms of minutes. They're thinking in terms of decades, and they're positioning themselves for what ultimately is a race to secure the world's commodities before the shit hits the fan, whatever that is.
Right.
And they're succeeding, and they're doing it off of Comex. So I would leave you with one statement, and that is price is the ultimate tool of misdirection. They misdirect the public with price and rhetoric while they're able to pickpocket not only the LBMA and those that are pickpocketing the Comex. At the same time, they're going and buying the stuff before it even hits the marketplace all around the world, which is disintermediating the price, the marketplace, and the understanding of the marketplace to know just how much they really are buying it, which is far more important than price because it signals just how important it is
Right.
strategically to them.
Welcome to the Cayman Islands. a premier offshore jurisdiction where natural beauty meets financial stability. Here, your wealth is more than secure. It thrives in one of the most trusted and respected financial centers in the world. For over a decade, SWP has been the trusted choice for precious metal investors worldwide. Our purpose-built 6,000 square foot facility sets a new standard in precious metals storage. We are proud to be one of the only vault operators approved by the London Bullion Market Association. Beyond safeguarding your assets, we're committed to making a difference in our community by supporting local causes and events that reflect our values. As we continue to expand and innovate our services, we ensure that your wealth is safe and strategically positioned to shield you from the uncertainties that lie ahead. Strategic wealth preservation, trusted today and ready for tomorrow.
Them.
Andy, yeah, it's mind blowing. Everything you just shared with us, it kind of opens your eyes. And before you go, I really want to thank you so much for joining and speaking to the silver
For
and
sure,
gold
brother.
community. But before you go, I want them to connect with you. I want them to connect with the Miles Franklin. How can they connect with you and connect with the business?
Well, we just hired Michelle McCory to run our media division. We're thrilled to have her. She's a superstar, and that's Miles Franklin Media on YouTube. They can go to our website at milesfranklin.com. They can request by sending an email at info@milesfranklin.com, not only clarification on anything they heard here or any questions they have from precious metals IRAs to anything they've ever wanted to talk about, or they can just ask for our price list that we try and update a couple times per week, which ought to be as good or better than anyone in the country. But if it's not, reach out to us. More likely than not, we'll beat or meet any price you see in the country. We've been doing this for 36 years in February, and we've never had a customer complaint in 12 billion in sales. Doesn't mean we
Wow.
don't mess up, but if we do, we'll make it right. And we won't be undersold. We'll do the best we can. If the price that you see elsewhere, which is updated every second, and I have reasons why I don't do this, largely because I have 75 affiliates around the country, including financial advisors, that I want to be able to undercut my website if they want. So I don't post my prices all the way up like other online companies do.
Right.
It's strategic. But if you ask us, hey, can you beat this price and show it to us? We will do the best we can. And more often than not, we will. So our price sheet in and of itself will be as good as almost everyone in the country or better. If you find it somewhere else cheaper, we'll do our best to meet that and make sure the one delineation between us and anyone else, Ivan, is at my corporate office, even though I live in Florida, where we've had a satellite office for almost 2 decades. My corporate office is in Minneapolis, and it is the only company, only state in the country that mandates licensing and bonding. So we are licensed, bonded, and background checked. And almost every company in America will not do business in Minnesota because of that, because it's a federally non-regulated industry. And so we're held to a higher standard. You're not going to get ripped off. We have a $2 million surety bond behind every transaction. That's something that almost every company in America cannot say. That's
Right.
what makes us different. So give us a chance. Not only will it be a great transaction from a standpoint of trust and of track record and history and licensing and bonding, but we'll do the best we can to make sure you're getting the best price in America. And I appreciate you letting me say that very much.
No, I appreciate you, Andy. Like a huge, huge thank you. Everyone watching this, I'm going to put the links in the description below for Miles Franklin. Highly recommend you go check them out. Check them out. Check out their prices, see what they're doing, and send Andy an email. Connect with him on YouTube. I highly recommend that. Andy, such a huge pleasure, brother, for you coming down and speaking to the silver and gold community. And as the market develops and all the craziness continues, love to have you back on.
I'd love to be back on, my man, and just a text away, brother. So you stay well. Look forward to picking up where we left off, and to keep doing what you're doing. And always good to see you, Ivan.
Thanks, Andy. Talk to you soon.
See you, bro.